These are the course objectives. You will go through them, just go through them, and you will get an idea what we are going to study in our technical report writing. Now, this is the format of a business letter. All the important parts of it are mentioned over here. This one, and along with that, the margins are also given. Okay, and the spaces between each part is mentioned here. It is 4 lines, 1 line. Then we have again 4 line. The margin is also there. Now to this arrows shows the margins. Okay, these shows the lines. Okay, and these red part shows the how many parts of the letters are there. There are total 15 parts of the letter. And now this format includes both the standard parts of the letter as well as the optional parts of the business letter. There here we have the address of the center, then we have certified mail, then we have the address of the receiver, attention line, then salutation, then we have the subject, body of the letter, complimentary clause, then signature area, and rest are the optional parts of the letter. We're going to study about all these parts in detail, and we're going to see what each part functions. Okay, this is the format of a business letter or a sample of a business letter here. This address is the permanent, or it is already typed, and it is at the center. This is the address of the sender. Now we have date. This one is the inside address, salutation. Then we have the body. In body, we have body is divided in 3 parts: the introduction, the closing, and the main body, where you are going to write your main idea. Then we have the complementary close and the signature area. Now this part of the letter includes the standard parts, or these are the parts without which the letter would be incomplete, meaning that leaving any part will shows that a letter is not means the letter is incomplete. The next one here is the another example of the letter. Here the address of the sender is written is close to the left hand margin. Date, inside address, then we have the salutation, body of the letter, introduction, main idea, and the closing, complimentary close, and the signature area. So these were the two formats of writing a business letter. Next, what is business letter? Why we use a business letter? Why we write letters? Actually, letters are written to convey your ideas or information, or you can say that it is simply a means of communication both formally and informally. It conveys your ideas, or it conveys your message to the receiver or to the recipient. There are different types of the letters. You have the business letters, info, then there are the complaint letters, personal letters, letters of invitations, then we have cover letters or the letters, job applications letters. There are a number of the letters. All these have only one main function, and that is to all these have one main function, and that is to convey their message or to convey the ideas or to communicate with the recipient. Now, keep in mind that a successful business letter is always written in simple and easy to understand language. the language is very clear. While writing the letter, the readers should keep in mind the interest, or issue. The reader should keep in mind the personality or the character personality of the person to whom they are writing the letters. And there are a number of the points which we are going to discuss in today's lecture, that how a letter is designed. Now it needs a lot of skills while writing a letter, and here there is special vocabulary being used while writing these formal letters. So you must familiarize yourself with these words. Okay, you can find them on Google. You can go for Google. You can go to Google search, where you where you will come across a list of all the words which are being used while writing a business letters. Now, since we are going to discuss actually this is technical writing, so you must know the words which, or you must know the technical words. Yeah, keep this in mind that writing, there are two types of writing. One is known as formal writing, and another one is known as scholarly writing. Now, scholarly writing is the writing which, or the language, or the words which being used when you are writing for a, when you are writing a research paper, or you are going for you are making notes, or writing thesis, or anything which is related to academic, okay, or research work. The words which are used over there, they are different as compared to the words which are being used in writing any technical, or which is the words used in technical communications is completely different from the scholarly writing. So while writing letters, you must do a little bit of research. For instance, you must find different words. Okay, you must search the different words, and go for the, and also look for the style, that which style of the which is more appropriate for writing such for writing these letters. What are the different parts of the business letters? Actually, they are, we have seen, divided into two parts. We have the optional parts of the business letters, and we have the standard parts. Today, we are going to discuss the standard parts of the business letter, which include the heading or letterhead and date, inside address, salutation, complimentary closing, signature area, and reference. Now, our first part is the letterhead. What actually is the letterhead? Now, most business organization usually use printed letterheads. Now, the letterheads contains the name, the address, the telephone number, the email ID, or any other information. Now, and it is clear from the name of the organization itself that the kind of business carried on is some. Now, it is very much clear from the name of the organization, okay, that which sort of a letter you is actually is going to be. Now, you can see that now letterheads are typed. Now, keep in mind the organizations. If you are writing a cover letter, then in that case you don't need a letterhead. Now this is the sample of the letterhead. You can see that here the address is already typed. Now here some organizations also include their logos or monograms. Okay, over here is also printed. Now, along with the letterhead, the date also comes along with it. Now, keep in mind that don't go for the ordinals. Never use first, second, or third. This ST and ND or RD in your dates. Okay, never go for the ordinals. Okay, always write 19 or 14, and don't mention ordinals over here. Just like 21st or 2nd or 23rd or 24th. This is not appropriate. Now, this so the letterhead is a sheet, or letterhead is actually a sheet of page on or a sheet on which the address is already typed. Next, these are the examples of the logos. Okay, you have the monograms, you have the insignias, emblems, signs, symbol, crest, and mascots. These are all being used when, or they are being mentioned along the, or they are printed along with the letterheads. Sometimes there are letterheads which are without logos. Okay, so these are the examples of the different types of the logos which the, or which a particular organization or an institute use them along with the, or use them along with their letterhead. Now, another type is the heading without the letterhead. Now, there are some letters which are without the heading. Now there are some letters which are the without heading. For example, if you are writing a cover letter is actually a letter which is attached with the a job application. Now in that case, you don't need a letterhead. Usually the letterheads are for the organizations. Okay. Now, if you are writing a complaint letter, or you are going for a cover letter, or you are typing any other formal letter, and means you as a person does not have any organization to work, or you are not the head of a certain organization, but as a person, as a layman or layperson, as a layman, you are writing a letter. So in that case, you do not need a letterhead. Okay, and keep in mind that letterheads are without the name. You don't include the name of the your name. You don't there. You don't write your name. Next is the date. Dates are usually typed. There are two formats for the dates. You can have the British format, and you can have the American format. So it depends that which formats you prefers to mention. Now here, this British format and American format, you have come across these ordinals, but in today's nowadays we don't use these ordinals. In latest style of writing the dates, we don't go for the ordinals, but in some letters you will come across these ordinals, but it is more preferable to avoid them. And be careful, one thing keep in mind, if you are following the American style of writing a letter, or simply if you are following the American format of writing a letter, then you must go for the American, then you should write the date of that format. But if you prefer a British format, then the date should align with that style. It will be seems inappropriate if your format is if your style of letter is the American, and the date format is that of the British. So keep in mind that the dates styles are, or the date formats are in line or aligned with the that of the styles of the letter writing. Next is the inside address. Okay, now what is inside address? Inside address includes the address of the person to whom you are sending the letter. Now, inside address includes the full address of the person or the organization, and it is always written two spaces below the date and two spaces above the salutation. Now, two spaces above the salutation in the left margin. Now keep in mind that the it is always written at the left margin, and its position does not changes according to with the various formats of writing a letter. Now the name of the person, now keep in mind that never ever use and the name of the persons should be okay, the name or the addresses should not be. Now keep in mind that don't use abbreviations for the name of the person, but in there are certain cases where if that the person himself use the abbreviation for his name, such as over here, then go for it. Otherwise, if that person himself does not use abbreviations for his name, then you should write his full name. Now mention his designations, then his address and everything over here. Now we use the Mr. Now these are there are different ceremonial titles like this, and this one MS is used for the females, and especially you refer to this in those cases where you are not sure whether they are married or unmarried. But in the latest styles, okay, whether if a female is married, okay, or not, this style is preferred. It's mostly used MS for the females, okay. Now, in the case of the okay, just keep in mind that inside address is type, two space below the date or two space above the salutations, or sometimes in case of the attention line. Now, what is attention line? It is an optional part of the letter. We'll be discussing about this later on. Now it is okay, and then we include the name of the person, the title or the organization where that person work, and his address are always written on the left hand side of the letter. Is the salutation. Now salutation is letter is like greeting a person when you meet him. Now it is placed two spaces below the inside address, or if there is the attention line, it is placed between the two spaces below the attention line, or if we have the subject, again it is placed two spaces below the subject. Now the choice of salutation depends upon the what sort of relationship you have with the reader, okay, and on the form or and the on the basis of that you decide that what sort of a format you are going to use for writing the salutation. Now if you don't if you don't know the name of the person to whom you are writing the letter, or if you don't even, or if out of respect you don't want to mention the his name, so you simply write dear sir or dear madam if that person is a female, or you can even go for their designation, dear sales manager or dear any designation of that person. But if you know the name of the person, then you go for the title and the second name of the that person's, okay, you go for the title and the second name. Now there are also two ways of writing the salutation, one with the comma, another with the colon. Now British use the comma and American use the colon. Both of them are the appropriate way of writing a cello, writing the salutations. Now, while writing to an officers or any person with designation, you use dear madam or dear sir. So you have to be very careful with that. Well, for friends, you use my dear Ahmad or my dear Asad or dear Asad for these friends, or you can simply say my dear mother or my dear father, or dear mother or dear father in case of the personal letters, okay. or if you are writing a letter or if you are writing a letter to an editor, you're going to write dear editor, or if you are writing a letter to a let's say editor of a journal, so you are simply going to write a dear editor, or if they have if the name is mentioned, then go for the name. So it says that the salutations usually depends on the context of the letter, and it also depends on the what sort of a relationship the reader has, sort of a relationship the writer has with the reader. Then we have the body of the letter. Now, the body of the letter is the main part of the letter, and the purpose of it is to convey a message, and then to convey the message. Now, it should be produced in such a way that is suitable for a response, or that it is produced suitable, or you can simply say that it produces a suitable response suitable response to the reader. Now, the body is divided into three paragraphs: the introductory paragraph, the middle paragraph, and the closing paragraph. Okay, in the introductory paragraph, you can also refer to what has already been mentioned in the previous letter, or you wanted to, okay, what has already been mentioned in the previous letter. The middle paragraph is the main paragraph, which includes your main idea, and the rest of the paragraphs related to the second paragraph is going to be is that the main idea is the explanation of the main idea in further is the, or you can simply say is that the details of the main idea are being further mentioned or further explained in the second paragraph, and the other paragraphs that comes related to the second paragraph. Now, the closing paragraph must state clearly that what action you expect from the reader to take, or it may end the letter indicating your expectations or the intentions. Now, keep in mind that always leave a space between each paragraph so that they can be easily demarcated, or they can, or the reader must know that which one is the first paragraph and which one is the second. Never use the first person pronoun. Avoid first person pronouns. It is really important. You have to be very careful while formatting the paragraph, because it contains the main idea, and it should be it should be in very plain, simple, but using the vocabulary of business letter. Okay, avoid flowery languages in the business letters. They are very much direct and to the point and precise. Okay, and for the vocabulary, I've already told you, you have to refer, you should get a list of the words, which will be very easy, and it will be very easy for you people when you are writing a business letter. So an impressive business letter has a very simple or plain language with having the vocabulary of technical writing. So it's in order to impress your reader and also to convey your message more clearly. It is very much different from your personal letters. In personal letters, you can use informal language, but while writing a this sort of while writing a formal letter, you have to be careful with the spellings or with the grammar, the style, the punctuations, each and every part of grammar and style and the structure or the syntax of the sentence must be carefully previewed, or must be carefully written. So once you have written the letter, just go through the letter. If you find any mistakes, okay, remove those mistakes. Otherwise, without reviewing the letter, if you send that letter to the concerned person, it will give a sort of a bad impression or it will have a bad impression, or it will have a bad impression of yours on the reader, that you are not the means the silly mistakes in the paragraph of writing a business letter should be avoided at all cost. Next, we have the complimentary clause. Complimentary clause is actually a courteous leave-taking or a polite way of ending a letter. It is typed to space below the last line of the body of the letter. Now, keep in mind that while you are closing the letter or when you are going for the complimentary clause, it depends upon the salutations. Okay, for example, if you have used dear sir or respected sir, then your complimentary clause will be yours sincerely or not yours obediently. Now, most of the students, they use your obediently even if they are writing a formal letter, or some of the people even use yours obediently if they are writing a cover letter or job application letter. Now, yours obediently is just for the students, okay? For professional people, or for the requirement of professionalism is that you should prefer yours sincerely. Yours faithfully is also preferred, but to be more professional, or yours sincerely is looks more professional, or it gives a sense of professionalism to your letter. Now, another mistakes which is mostly made in while writing the complementary clause is the use of the upper and lower case letters and the placement of the commas. Now look at this example. Yours sincerely. Now here after R is mentioned apostrophe S. Actually this apostrophe S shows the possession, and here this sincerely is written in upper case letter. Now say as we use uppercase letters when we are talking about the nouns, proper nouns. Okay, now here sincerely is not the proper noun, it is not the name of any person, so avoid this mistake. Now this one is shows that this sincerely is certain object and it belongs to you, so avoid this. Now here yours sincerely is we are talking about the verbs, and when you use the verbs, when you are talking about the verbs and you go for the add s, so here this s stands for yours. It mentions the verb s, and sincerely it is that you are referring to the greetings. Okay, so sorry, it is the complimentary, means ending it very politely. Now this one is completely different. So if from grammatical point of view, if you look at it and if you know the grammar, so you will clearly understand what this apostrophe s stands for, and you will know that if you go for this word sincerely, a polite way of ending your letter, and if you use the capital letter, so it means that you are talking about a proper noun. It is the name of the person, or it is the just like an object which you have mentioned over here. Next is the signature area is the sign name of the writer, and it is placed below the complimentary clause. The name of the writer is usually typed or generally typed 4 space below the closing line, so provide enough space for the signature area. So this is, you can see the example of the signature area. So always leave enough space, so for yourself, if you are the writer of the letter, so you can do the signature over here. Is the reference initials. Reference initials are actually the typed initials of the person who composes the letter and the one who typed the letter. Now, keep in mind sometimes in case of the business letters, you have the personal secretaries writing letters for the boss. So, if personal secretary is writing the letter, then their name initials are also mentioned. So this is known as the reference initials. When we use reference initials are typed double space below the signature area or sometimes single space below the signature area. Now if the composer is a different person and the type composer is the person who has written the letter or the person who has produced the letter and somebody else has typed it for that. So both the initials are mentioned in the references. This is only, I've already told you that this is only in those organizations or the institutions or companies or government organization where they have the secretaries who type the letters for these people. So it also comes in the part of the as the standard parts of the letter only in the case of business letters, while when you are writing formal letters there the reference initials are not the standard parts. Okay, there they work as the optional part. So keep in mind that reference initials are the standard is the standard reference initial is the standard parts of a business letter in cases when the letters are being sent or the letters come from an organized or the letter belongs to an organization or a company where the boss or the head of the organization have a personal secretary or the personal assistants who handle their important works, okay, who handle their letters and other important documents. So in that case the composer can be the boss but the typist is the different person. Now reference initial is not the standard parts of the formal letters such as cover letter or you can say a job application letter or a complaint letter. So keep this difference in. Now next we have the reference number. Now reference numbers is also the standard part of the business letters. Why they use the reference number? Once we have studied about reference initials, now we are going to study about the reference number. Now reference number is also very important because it is for the record keeping and it will help the reader. It includes the information related to the department to which to or related to the department to whom the letter is being sent, and it also mentions the number of the or it mentions the number of the letter that which number is the letter is now, and it is typed above the it is typed in the line where the it is typed above the inside address or it is sometimes below the date or aligned with the date. So there are two formats of writing the reference letter. Here it is aligned with the date, okay, or in certain letters it is typed below the date or and above the inside address and you leave single space, okay, below the date you leave single space and type reference number or and you leave also single space above the inside address and then you type the reference number. This is the structure of the letter, journal structure of the letter. You have the greetings, you have the reasons, which includes the body, why you are writing the letter. This includes the first paragraph of the letter. Then you have the explanation or explaining. This includes the rest paragraphs of the letter. The last paragraph where you would, it's sort of a request or certain wishes. Then you have the ending. Thank you for your consideration. Then you sign off your letter where you include the complimentary close, and then the last one is the signature area. Now this journal is the whole journal structure of a letter. And for business letter, then you include the important parts, just like reference initials and reference number. You incorporate those parts in this format, but this one is actually the basic format of any letter. Rest, the standard and the optional parts are included or incorporated between these parts. Now this is the format of a letter, and you can simply say it's in the full block letter, full block format. What is the full block format? Where all the important parts are put on the left hand side. So it will give you an idea that how you are going to type the letter. Now follow that style, which is universal, okay, and which is most commonly used in which is most commonly used throughout the world. So it will give you a sort of uniformity, okay, in the letters.